Hi, this is Dave Klein, producer and host for RAPTR Adventures. Before we get rolling with this episode, I'd like to tell you, if you have an idea for a show and you'd like me to come on out and film with you, maybe you have a farm pond, or maybe you have a place in the ocean or a bay or a stream or a river, get in touch with me at davekleinproductions@gmail.com. I'm always interested to meet new people and film unique episodes of this show. So for today's show, I think it's important that you know that I live in the heart of what's known as Pennsylvania Dutch country, and that's Berks County, Pennsylvania, also known as Pennsylvania's Americana region. So in this region, I am very active with a lot of folk festivals, playing music and such, and I cruise social media looking for other people who are and trying to find out what they're up to, and I found a page by artist Robert Maletsky where he was showing a trout hex symbol, is the best way to say it. In Pennsylvania Dutch, these are barn stars. These are decorative things that we put around our homes or barns or places of work. Anyway, Robert is making these like they are trout, like rainbow trout hex symbols, and I thought that was very unique. And he also mentioned that he has a ritual when he goes trout fishing on his creek. So I wrote to him and said, hey, Robert, would you be willing to go ahead and share this with my viewers and myself, of course? And he said yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to meet Robert Maletsky, and we're going on an adventure in the fantastic Jordan Creek in the Lehigh Valley. Let's go. Well, this is great. We're in the studio of artist and musician and Kutztown Folk Festival celebrity Robert Maletsky. And Robert's got some unique hex signs here that he painted, or some call them barn stars. In any event, what caught my eye was, look at this. It's like a fish symbol, right?
Yeah.
Let's get a close up of that.
Yeah, I call this the fish magic hex sign. It's based on the simple 6-pointed rosette, flower of life, and then added the tails on the end.
I'm gonna come over this way. There we go. Better light.
Now this, Patrick Donmoyer from the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center, he brought over this auction lot he had of Herman Wright's old hex sign studies. He was an artist back in the 50s. And he had this little sketch in his book that I saw. It wasn't as elaborate as this. It was just a 6-pointed rosettes with the tails. And I thought, that's really cool. So the next day, I drew it out and thought, I'll add some fins here and this and that. And that's what it turned into.
Wow. So somebody had this concept in mind for a while,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, since at least the 50s.
You really refined it.
Yeah.
And yours,
Touch to it. It's metallic paint, so when it's out in the sunlight, it really shines and looks like the back of a rainbow trout.
I can see
really
that.
Realistic.
Wow. And so this resonates with you because I also saw you wrote a story, and this is one of the other reasons I'm up here. We're going to go out to your stream, and before we go out there, just tell us, so what's the story in the stream that you were saying online?
So the Jordan Creek runs through here. It's one of the tributaries that feeds into the Lehigh and then feeds into the Delaware River. And it was 1738, my 6th great grandfather, Lawrence Guth, built a stone home over along the banks about 2 miles from here. It's over in South Whitehall Township now. And it's still there. It's the second oldest house in Lehigh County that's been lived in. And we've been fishing these banks ever since 1738. And when I was a kid, school would let out, and it's like it did last week. Me and my friends would get on our bikes, drive down to the Jordan, and we'd be down there all day. This was before cell phones. Mom didn't know where you were, what you were doing. You didn't have to check in until the afternoon.
Right.
So we'd take off our shoes and in our trunks, just go right out into the middle of the creek. We'd be out there in water like this, fishing right in the middle and catching all the fish. It was fun, but that's what I've been doing ever since we were kids.
And was there some ritual or some words that you said?
Yeah, I like to do this little ritual. I think it works. I mean, it could just be BS, but I don't know. I like to go out there on a full moon is usually when I'll go fishing. I mean, this is the opposite. We got the new moon on Sunday, so hopefully we catch some fish today. But on the full moon, I'll go out, and I'll go out to the riverside, and sometimes I slip and fall in because I'm pretty clumsy. That works the best. You get soaked down to from head to toe. But if not, I go and I take the water and I splash it on my forehead. I make a little symbol on my forehead there. And then I have a flask, usually has whiskey in it. And I'll take a little sip and then I spit the rest of it into the creek and make an offering to them. And then that's it. I start fishing, and usually they start biting right after
Really?
that. So
okay.
We'll see what happens today.
Let's go find out. Nice. Yeah. By the way, the other star of the show, who's actually not here right this second, was
Lucky.
Was Lucky the dog. Not even 2 yet. Hey, Lucky, how you doing? Lucky gave me a hearty greeting. So, yeah, there you go. That's what we like. All right, let's go see if we can find some fish on the Jordan Creek. And what township are we in?
We're in North Whitehall Township.
North Whitehall Township. Okay, thank you. So Robert's in that vehicle in front of me now. We're on our way to the place where we're going to fish on the historic Jordan Creek. And here is something very unique. It's called a Jordan Creek Ford. I'm going to have him explain to you what this was built for after we get out of the cars. But back in the day, they had some wildlife, and this is just like going on a safari. Like, we're literally crossing right across the Jordan Creek, which to this day, from what I understand, people still get baptized here. Very cool. I'm gonna have Robert explain to you why this was built. So there's a lot going on this particular adventure before we even get to the fishing part. The stream looks beautiful, the Jordan Creek, named after the Jordan River in the Middle East, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Robert, tell us a little bit about what is this all about here?
All right, well, back in the early 1900s, General Harry Trexler wanted to preserve the bison population and the white-tailed deer. And he started buying up all these farms in the area that surrounded this creek and made a huge nature preserve down here. And up until recently, they were actually all fenced in with white-tailed deer. There's still bison up on the hill yet, but...
There's bison up on the hill?
Yep, there are. We'll see them when we leave today.
Okay.
He actually passed away before a lot of this stuff really took place. This was built in the 1930s. The Civilian Conservation Corps came through here, built the roads that we drive on now that get us through, and a lot of the trails that they used for hiking now were used for them to work on and maintain the animals. And this was, you know, they didn't want to build a bridge. This was a lot easier for them to just get across here because it was very shallow. So they built this concrete ford in the 1930s, and now you can still come and drive across here to get out of the nature preserve.
So is this place, this preserve, and by the way, it's gorgeous. The big mountains sticking up, you know, as we were coming in, and now we're in a valley. Is it open to the public?
Yes. Yeah. The Lehigh Valley Zoo is just right up on top of the hill there, and anyone can come down here. If you see down there, there's little kids actually probably fishing for tadpoles. This is actually a great spot to bring your kids because it's shallow. There's all kinds of aquatic life in here. You can get them in there and...
Oh yeah. I see that. Yeah, there's life in here right now.
These are trout magnets. That's the brand name.
Trout magnets is the brand name,
Yep.
So this is what we're going to tie on. Okay.
And they, out of all the years I've been doing this, are the best lure I've ever used. They simulate, you know, mealworms or grubs.
Yeah, they sure do look like that, don't
little
they?
baby fish when, you know, depending. Today would be a good day. That would sparkle. And what you do is you float it with one of these little bobbers. And then that's how you watch where it is. You just let it hang down a little bit in the water, and it hangs naturally, so it looks more like the natural action of a fish. You know, worms aren't naturally out in the middle of the creek.
Right, they're not swimming around.
Worm usually, but this simulates more what's out there. And then we can give these a try. I got these other little buggies here I like to use.
Look like Helgramites or something.
These are little fly nymphs, which right now, those will be sitting all over the water. So they'll probably go for those. And I just saw these are like the 1,000-leggers.
Yeah.
I just saw a whole bunch of those being born in my yard yesterday, so you can probably catch some on those because those are in season. You know, the fish spent millions of years evolving. They know what's in season and they know what they like to eat, so they're not going to fall for stupid power baits and stuff like that. These aren't dumb fish, so you got to trick them.
Okay, so let's get one tied on, and then we'll take a picture of that too.
All right.
Okay, so this is the rig. It certainly does look like a mealworm there. And just up the rig a little bit, we have that bobber, which at this point is supposed to simulate kind of a dead leaf floating around in the...
Yeah, and that's just kind of so you can see where it's at, and it keeps your lure right at the right level in the water. And then if you're in shallow water, you just slide it down a little bit. If you're in deeper water, you move it up a little more.
Okay, let's go to your sycamore tree spot.
All right, let's go. So this is the ritual I like to do here. It's a lot of rye whiskey today, so Jen will have to do.
Here you go, a little gin for the fish. Kind of calms them down.
Now, since I haven't fallen in yet.
little baptism from the water.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's good. Now we're good, right?
Yeah, we're good.
So now we're ready to go.
We're ready
now
to
the
catch
fish are
some
going to
fish.
be jumping.
They're
going
to
to
be biting all over the place.
Right, okay.
Just jumped out right over there. There you go. Look at that. Whoa. Whoa. Got off. What did I tell you?
He spared you the trouble.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though.
I usually let them go anyway, so if I
Yeah,
don't get my hands dirty, thank
exactly.
you, fish.
You're not looking for a meal today. That was pretty awesome.
Beautiful rainbow trout. Yeah, he was a keeper, but
Yeah, it was a nice one.
let's see if we can catch him again. I think we're at the right depth there with that one. I was right
Yeah,
at the white,
like right at the beginning of the hole there.
Now, I don't know, you can see the lure under there.
Yeah, I can see it.
I saw it disappear when he grabbed it.
Yeah.
Sometimes their camouflage is so good on their back. The moss on the rocks,
I know.
you can tell they've evolved.
Sometimes you can be looking right at them even with polarized glasses and you
Yep,
can't
don't
see them. But yeah, I saw that take. We have that on the film here. Now you're in the hole. A little backward slip there to let it sink a little bit.
Yeah, I usually bring it back, and that's what they would naturally do in the current if there's a worm floating around in there. The current's bringing it up a little too high, though.
Yeah, so there is a weight on there, but would you be inclined to drop some split shot on that?
I wouldn't, just because it makes it too heavy.
It makes it too heavy.
So what
Okay.
I'll do, just because it's deeper there, I'll just give myself a little more slack.
Okay.
Or two off the surface there.
Well, you just had a looker.
Going after it. I've noticed too that after you get a couple, see we're using this white one,
Yep.
you catch a couple that bite on it and get off, they recognize that one and
Yep,
they won't go
yep,
after
yep,
it anymore.
yep. It
So
seems
you gotta
like
switch the color of that.
they
and
know,
go
right.
again. Now I'm gonna let it drift back down natural here. Just open the reel back up. See where it'll go. That's all I really do, is just kind of let it drift. Load it. There we go.
Here you go, fish on. Oh! That's all right. I can't keep the lure on. I got down here, I tied that lure on twice, and I got down here, there's no lure on the end of my line. Now, how could that possibly be? I guess it's because we're using very light test, like 4 pound.
Yeah. Yeah, now the reason I used a 4 pound, I got a story about my flask getting bent in 4 pound line, I'll tell you in a little bit.
Okay.
Look at the yellow leaf floating.
Yep,
That's
yep,
what we're
yep,
trying to
yep.
replicate with
Yep,
the
I see it.
bobber. Now,
So,
the 4 pound test is harder for the fish to see. I mean, I can barely see it, and that's why we put that little bobber on there so you actually know where your
Right.
line is, because after about 12 inches, it disappears. I can't see it. And the fish see very well. I kind of have on the color of the plants and the tree here, so I blend in. If I was wearing bright colors, they would see me, and they would.
right,
Down there.
right. So, the bobber acts like a strike indicator, too,
Yep,
for you.
pretty much,
Okay.
yeah. You see that sucker go under, and but I would say it's more, you know, that lure wouldn't work the same if it wasn't for this lightweight foam bobber.
Yep.
It doesn't work the same way the plastic ball bobbers do. I mean, it does go under, but they work in conjunction with each other. Oh, see, that's why I got some birds.
Yeah, you can't have anything hanging off of that. Same as when you're trolling. Get that re-rigged.
Take it.
It's pecking away at it. Sometimes you can tease them and get them frustrated that they'll bite. So obviously what we're fishing for here is, or maybe not obviously, but we are
Rainbow trout.
fishing for stocked rainbow trout, yes.
There's some brown trout in here. You'll see them every once in a while, but mainly rainbow.
Yeah, I would imagine this stream goes into the Delaware eventually, doesn't it? The Lehigh first, and then the Delaware.
Yeah, the headwaters of the Jordan Creek are up near the foot of Blue Mountain. Kind of if you go all the way up 309 there towards Tamaqua is where this starts. And it's literally just a little trickle of a stream up there. And then as you get down through Allentown, this goes right through Center City, Allentown.
That's amazing.
Same creek. And then it meets the Lehigh right out there by Allentown and flows out into the Delaware.
Yeah, there's some great trout fishing in the Lehigh.
Yep.
I've done that in a drift boat already. Really fun.
It's nice and deep water in there. Try to get out in that
Yeah.
pocket right out there, see what you can do.
And even when you're not catching the fish, a place this peaceful
Oh, I love it.
with the birds singing and the
There's one jumped right out there.
yeah, and the views.
Yeah, I don't care if I don't catch any fish. I come sit
right.
down here for
Yep.
an hour and brings my blood pressure down.
Well, it's all about the rituals and the traditions too, you know,
Yeah.
figuring that people have been doing this, yep, I see it, that you're aware of since the 1700s. Pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, it's a good way to get back in touch with your ancestors, to think that for 300 years almost, we've been here fishing this same creek.
Oh, there's a little tap, look like. So while we're waiting here, and this is usually what makes a fish go, if you want a fish to bite, you pick up a sandwich or a drink.
Yeah.
Or you start telling a story. So tell us a little bit more about Mr. Trexler, because you were telling me some of the stuff when we were off camera, but what a guy. He was involved with Portland Cement?
Yeah, General Trexler, he became a general in the Spanish-American War, and then when he got back home, he had all kinds of business endeavors. His one that made him the most money was he founded Portland Cement Company in Allentown. And basically, you know, that cement that everybody knows and uses today, it came out of the Lehigh Valley from Harry Trexler. And he passed away in, I forget the year, it's the early 1930s. He was running late for dinner with his wife. He had a dinner date, and he told his driver to speed up. So his driver, coming up over the gravel hill, sped up to 40 miles an hour.
Ooh.
And when they got over the other side of the hill, there was a car stalled, and they ran right into it. He made it out of the car, but he died from his injuries a couple days later.
Oh my God, after all that.
Yeah.
After starting this preserve and putting buffalo in there to try and working with the local, I guess, Lenni Lenape Indians, or?
I don't believe it was the Lenni Lenape, because they weren't living here anymore by that point. It was one of the tribes out west. I don't recall.
Oh, okay. So he was working with a tribe from out west to reestablish a buffalo herd here.
He took his money that he made with Portland Cement and started going around and buying up all these little private farms along the Jordan Valley here. And his whole goal was to make a preservation where they could repopulate the bison that we basically wiped out of the Midwestern and the Western states when we did what we did, to be proud of. And then the white-tailed deer too he had in the preserve. And the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s, after Trexler passed away, they got to work. He donated all the money and made the Trexler Trust. And basically that's what all this is taken care of now today. It's owned by the county, but the stipulation was that it always had to be public lands and had to be used as a nature preserve when he passed away. So now they have trails throughout the entire thing. It's no longer the same as it was when I was a kid. You could drive through here and see the white-tailed deer up on the hill, fenced in and everything. But now they moved all the deer out, and we still have the bison in here that are fenced in. Oop, there we go.
Oh, you had a bite right there.
Come on.
And elk, you said. There's still elk here.
There's still elk up the top. I think they're all female, because none of them have the nice big elk antlers.
Wow, that's a deep hole that you just dropped
Yeah.
that into there. I saw the lure go down in, the bait go down in.
Last year I was fishing over on the other side here where it gets a little less shallow. And I was trying to move down a little bit, and I slipped and went whoosh, feet first right down into this hole, head under. My waders were on up to here. They filled up, and it was April, like early
That's
April.
cold
The
and
water
scary.
was so cold. I got out, took my waders off, drained them off, and I kept fishing for another hour, so I caught a lot of
Oh,
fish.
sure, you were here. You got to do it. I've fallen in and just kept going. Drain the waders and keep going. I'm soaked, but who cares?
think it's time to change the color of that lure.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can also, on the way out today, see if we can see any of those elk and buffalo, because that's really fascinating. What a place. It's like a little Ponderosa in the middle of Lehigh Valley. That was a great spot, but after a couple minutes of no hits, it's time to move on. So we moved a little further downstream, and it is shallower here. We're looking for any kind of bend or hole. You know, we haven't had a lot of rain here. Now, over the past 4 days, it's rained a lot, but prior to that, it was like 39 days until we had rain. So I think we're gonna have to find a hole or something in the creek here. You know if this is a limestone creek bed? It probably is.
Some of it is, and a lot of it's slate. You can see a lot of this is limestone, but right back there where we were on those really big slippery ones, that was slate.
Yeah, slate. Slate. As you move further north toward the coal regions, you get more into that, right?
Yeah, you can kind of see it over on the banks there, that dark gray rock that's coming out. That's all slate over there.
Okay. Well, the only way you know is to keep searching like this. Testing, searching, probing, casting.
I never found this spot before. I usually don't walk down this.
This is a great view. What an idyllic view here. So you say that covered bridge was just redone?
Yep, we just finished it less than 2 months ago. It was a little behind schedule, but I think with the winter time and everything, they just didn't have the time to work on it. That was originally built, and I want to say the 1841, maybe? Don't quote me on it.
All this history and a couple trout too. It's a pretty good morning.
I know it was pre-Civil War that bridge was put in.
Wow.
I think before that you had to buggy across, probably at the same location because of how shallow it is up here. It's probably where everybody was fording.
Yeah, it's just hard to fathom how the pioneers could ford streams and rivers, you know. Amazing.
Well, when we first settled here, there were Lenape living in here, not many. And most of the roads we have around here, people wonder why are roads so windy? And because they weren't roads, they were old Indian trails.
Yeah.
And they were then turned into roads, and now it's just the way they are. So when we got here, the Lenape already had a pretty good network of trails coming through this area. Lock Trunk Road, which you might have come in on when you were coming to my house, that was the old Warriors Path. That would connect them up to Lock Chunk, which is now Jim Fork, down to Emmaus, Pennsylvania, where there's the Veracruz Jasper mines. And for a couple thousand years, basically, until we came with our metal tools, they were mining jasper out of there that was so prized, it was traded up and down the East Coast, all the way to North Carolina. They found jasper that they knew was from those mines. And then after we got here, they kind of stopped using them and they got filled in. But we kind of just took their trails and turned them into roads. So I'm sure this is where the Native Americans would pour across the creek too.
Sure. Did you hear that big bullfrog over here in the lily pads? Oh, I saw a huge tadpole a couple minutes ago. Huge. That's fun.
He's on there. No sooner did it hit the freaking water.
See, that's what I was saying. Come back, let's let the spot rest a little bit.
He's a good one. He's a good one. Oh, first one in. Come on. Come on out here, buddy.
You know, it's funny. Looking at it right now, unless he turns, he's really hard to see. There you go. Bring him over here.
Oh, beautiful.
Good job.
Beautiful.
Robert.
That's what I said. That ritual. No sooner does your lure hit the water. Look, he even let himself off.
Yeah, whoa.
Look at him.
Yeah, beautiful rainbow. Let's turn him up this way. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You are beautiful fishy.
Okay.
All right.
And there he goes. Yeah, nice release.
Gotta dance with him. That was good.
Good, always good. Let the spot rest a little bit.
He went for it.
We had walked away and went downstream for a little bit, and we're talking and listening to some of the great history stories Robert's got. He's got great ones. His connections, family connections to Bryansville and Trexler Town. And I said, well, let's go up here and throw it again and see what happens. The spot rest a little bit.
That was lucky.
Oh, it's not luck, it's the skill of the fisherman. You got the skill.
It's that Pennsylvania Dutch fishing match.
It's the Pennsylvania Dutch hexer eye. You put a fish hexer eye on him. And you gave him a little bit of gin.
Yeah, they're happy.
And you gave him the whole ritual. That's the hexer eye. So we've finished fishing now. Hey, we got 2 fish. That's good for a short outing. But I feel like we're in Jurassic Park or someplace, you know, with the big fences, and they've got elk and bison in here somewhere. So now we're looking to see if we can find any elk or bison. And sure enough, we came around the bend, and here we go, right here in Pennsylvania. Elk in this Lehigh Valley Preserve with this wonderful Jordan Creek running through it. What a great adventure. Well, this is as close to the American Plains and frontier as you're going to get in Pennsylvania anyway. Look at this bison, just having a great time eating the grass here. All of its bison buddies in the background there. Really is magnificent. Check it out sometime here at the Trexler Preserve. Clearly we found the bison. There they are. I just want to thank you, first of all, for showing me your little slice of paradise here.
It was a lot of fun.
This is amazing. Tell us about these bison, that they're the descendants of...
These were the descendants of the original bison that Harry Trexler had brought back here in, I believe, the 1920s or 30s. I forget exactly when. But it was, the whole purpose was to help repopulate the population that we wiped out in the Midwestern states. And he worked with the native tribes that were out there and got these out to this preservation here, and they've been here since 30s, almost 100 years.
Amazing. You can see the rest of the herd off behind here. I'll take a movie now, but you can't see it in this frame, but the cars are going up and around and winding their way down. It's like as close to Jurassic Park as you're going to find.
Yeah.
Plus we got to do some fishing.
Yes, we
right?
did. It was a lot of fun.
How much do you think a guy like that weighs? Right?
I would say like at least 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And big.
And to think the plains were once just like loaded
covered
with them.
them.
Like a sea of animals.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to do is I want to thank you, Robert. Can you tell people, they saw your hex sign work, your artwork,
Yes.
at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, tell people how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to get like one of those really unique trout hex signs, or any of the other ones that you have.
Well, you can either contact me through my Instagram page, which is RAM American Handmade, or you can go right through my website and contact me there. It's hex-signs.com. Make sure you don't go to hexsigns.com. That's some lady in Maine who copies our designs.
Okay, so say it again.
Yeah, hex-signs.com.
hex-signs.com.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
And you'll find me there, and there's not a lot on there because I sell them usually before I get to put them on there, but you can get in contact with me on there and we'll get one made for you.
So there you go. He's got beautiful works of art. He's one of many artisans that I get to work with every year at the Kutztown Folk Festival. And you're going to be at the Kutztown Folk Festival, right?
Right at the front gate on tent number 2.
So we're recording this particular show for Raptor Adventures in 2023, and we're doing it in June. And so that means the Kutztown Folk Festival will be coming up in July. So if you're seeing this show before then, great, look for Robert. And if you're seeing it afterwards, well, you just got to find him at that place you said online, right? So a really good time. Again, I can't thank you enough for bringing me up to your private paradise here.
You got it.
What a place to fish.
I know. I love it. I only live a couple minutes from here. I'm blessed to be able to come here.
Now, I like bison. You think that we could, possibly ride the bison? And...
you could give it a try.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No riding the bison here. Never. No way. Don't do it. Man, just the size of that thing. Yeah. Its horn and everything sticking out there. And the hump.
You can see he's losing his winter coat.
Yeah, see that? Yeah, amazing. So, well, for Raptor Adventures, this is Dave Klein, your producer and host. I hope you enjoyed our little tour of paradise here on the amazing Jordan Creek and in the Trexler Game Preserve.
Yeah.
A lot of the great history. It's always good to have somebody who knows the history. So thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
See you at the festival or someplace else.